So here's a question. Do you have too many bills? Do you have too much responsibility at work? Do you have too much responsibility at home? You're raising kids. You're trying to figure out how things work in life. You have too many expectations, and you're let down along the way, and your brain just does not shut off at night. Well, we're talking about help. I'm not okay. This is week 2. I'm overwhelmed. So here's the question. Have you ever had one of these moments that I just spoke about in your life where you just feel like it's too much? Well, I'm glad you're tuned in today. I'm John Fowler. Check out johnfowler.org, and we'll talk about that later. So here's a statement that I want to give you today. If we are honest with ourselves, we may be smiling on the outside, but we're saying on the inside, I don't know how much more that I can handle. Are you that person today? Well, let me tell you something. There is hope for you today, and we're going to share that with you, and we're going to help you, and we're going to give you a few things that I know that are going to minister to you. So last week we talked about being tired, and you can catch that in its entirety on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or on Facebook or YouTube at John Fowler WV. And you can listen to that one, and then you can also catch this week's I'm Overwhelmed. And so what happens is you can get tired but still function. But when you're overwhelmed, you begin to shut down. Have you ever talked to somebody and you just can't seem to get them motivated? Have you ever thought maybe that they're so overwhelmed that they're beginning to shut down? And when you look at the world today and the responsibilities that people have and the things that are going on in people's lives, you say, yeah, there were warning signs about that person. And you knew that there were things going on, but you didn't know how to help. Well, this will teach you how to do it. Psalm 61:2, here's what it says. From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee when my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. So here's what happens. There's songs that have been written, hide me in the cleft of the rock, which means in protection in the midst of the storm. So what happens with this scripture here is that we get so overwhelmed that our heart just begins to, we can't make decisions. We can't make the right decisions. We're making decisions that it seems like that we're pushed into because we feel so overwhelmed. And I want to teach you something that you can start doing this. Take a deep breath before you make a decision. And you say, what would the Lord want me to do here? You know what people may want you to do, but what do you feel like that the Lord? Because see, a Spirit-led life is a life led by the Spirit. That means we're allowing God to lead us and to help us through the process of life. So let me give you the definition of what overwhelmed may be. When life feels bigger than your ability to handle it. Think of that. How true is that? When life feels bigger than your ability to handle it. So here's what we have to do, is we have to begin to get rid of some of the responsibilities or some of the things that are causing us to feel overwhelmed. Now, I'm not telling you to quit your job. I spoke to a lady not long ago who has a very stressful job. And I looked at her and I said, I don't know how you do it. And she said, I take a lot of medication. And I'm thinking, that's crazy that the almighty dollar is affecting your health in some aspect or some way. I've been there. I know what it's like. And so you have to be so careful about these things. Yes, we need to enjoy the journey. We need to enjoy the day. A lot of times people are just looking forward to retirement, and missing the opportunities. John 10:10 says, the devil comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. But Jesus said, I come that you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. So here's a question. Are you living the abundant life? So here's what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show some footage from Sunday's sermon that's entitled, I'm Overwhelmed. It's week 2 of the sermon series that I'm preaching right now, Help, I'm Not Okay. So being overwhelmed comes from carrying too much. So as we get into this, this analogy is really going to help you.
Being overwhelmed is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of being human. And we've got to find a place in our lives to where we're not feeling overwhelmed. Remember, God leads, the devil pushes. But you have to understand that being overwhelmed comes by just carrying too much. That luggage, just think about all that luggage that you're carrying around, those things, and you don't have to. Because God said, I'll carry it for you. It's too big for you. I'll carry the addiction. I'll carry the struggle. I'll carry the heartache. I'll carry the loss. I'll carry it for you because He's God. Somebody asked me one time, can God create a rock so big that it's too big for Him to lift? No. He's the ultimate God. He's bigger than any circumstance, any situation that you've ever gone through. So being overwhelmed is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you're human. God never gave us. God never intended us to control. Anybody in the house a control freak? God did not intend you to control. God never designed you to hold on to things. Let me give you an illustration of this. Here's the way it is with people. You're carrying 10 full grocery bags. This is what you're doing. You're carrying 10 grocery bags. You remember, and I guess you could still get paper. It used to be paper and plastic, but most of the time it's plastic now. Can you imagine carrying 10 full grocery bags? That's what it means to be overwhelmed. And there's some lives that are a mess. And face it, it's your fault. I mean, it's your fault, the reason why your life is a mess. You say, well, and there's people that walk away from God because God becomes a fair-weathered friend. And I even lose the word friend, fair-weathered. That I'll serve you as long as you do this. Well, what if He doesn't do that for you? He doesn't have to.
So He doesn't have to, but He does because He loves us and He wants to. So the other day, I'm in Home Depot. I'm in the parking lot of Home Depot. And I was working on this sermon. And I was using the analogy of the 10 grocery bags, and you're carrying them in the house, and one of your kids or your wife or husband comes out and says, hey, you need some help. And you say, no, I got it. Well, that's what we're dealing with in life today. You're so overwhelmed and you think you've got it and you really don't have it. Let me give you this analogy. So, as I said, I'm in the parking lot of Home Depot. There's a guy, an older guy, probably in his 70s, that has a truck, and he has a panel truck. It's like has tools on the side, but there's a spot for where he can slide stuff in. And he had a door, a full-size door, and so he was trying to figure out how he was going to put that door, and it was a heavy door, had glass in it, and how he was going to put that in there. And so I'm getting ready to walk by him, and I look at him, and I said, hey, do you need some help? And he says, yes, I do. And I said, let me help you. That's a good West Virginia word. I said, let me help you. And he thanked me and thanked me and thanked me so much for helping him. And then he was pulling out when I was coming back out, and he waved at me. I mean, it was just like, this is where we need to say, hey, yeah, I need help. I don't have it. I can't lift it. It's too big. There's too many things in life that are too big for us that we need to turn over to God. And then we need to get to the place where we ask for help. Just because you're carrying it doesn't mean you're supposed to. That guy could have hurt himself. It could have hurt his back really bad. I mean, that door was heavy for two of us. So did God give me this to pick up? That's one thing we have to ask ourselves. Did God give me this to pick up? Are you still raising your kids, but they moved out years ago? Are you still doing your job, but yet you retired 5 years ago and you can't seem to let go? So here's a question. Is it your fault that you're overwhelmed? I'm going to pause for effect there for just a second. Is it your fault that you are overwhelmed? I'm not saying every time it's your fault, but let me ask you something. What are you doing that you should not be doing that is causing grief in your life, and it's time to get rid of these things? Well, if I say no, they won't love me anymore. Really? I mean, that's a dumb analogy, isn't it? But this is what people think. Well, if I don't help them, they're not going to be there for me. Really? What's a true friend? A true friend will stick with you no matter if you say no or not. So, overwhelmed distorts our thought process. And when you look at Luke chapter 10, 41 and 42, and Jesus answered, and he said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. Martha was hosting Jesus, and she was getting overwhelmed because Mary, in verse 42, had chose the good part. And so the good part was to sit at Jesus' feet and listen to his teaching. Here's verse 42. But one thing is needed, and Mary hath chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. So Martha wasn't doing anything bad. She was just doing too much. And she got herself overwhelmed. It's like hosting a party. You may be miserable while you're hosting the party. You need to enjoy the people that are there. So when you feel overwhelmed, everything feels urgent. That's like, I've got to get this done. I got to get that done. When you feel overwhelmed, everything feels important. More important than anything else. You're the most important thing because you think that you're overwhelmed and it's urgent and I got to do it. And everything feels like it's falling apart. Yeah, sometimes it does. But it doesn't always. It's the perspective of things. It may look like it's falling apart, but it's really not. Get you a friend to help you. Get you a friend to talk to. Get a sounding board. Somebody that you can say, man, I really feel overwhelmed, but am I really? So when you are overwhelmed, small problems feel big. And you get irritated real easy. Has your kids or your husband or wife been saying, man, you're irritable this week? What's going on with you? Well, it could be that you feel overwhelmed. You shut down or you lash out, one or the other, or both. I don't know if you walk or not, but it's good to walk every day. It's good for your health. It's like flossing your teeth. You go to the dentist. I floss every day. And it's like you go to the dentist and you're having your teeth clean, and he'll look at you or she'll look at you and say, do you floss? Uh-huh. And you don't. And do you think that she doesn't or he doesn't know that? So you get irritated. You get irritated real easy, and you begin to lash out. And you feel like that you're failing even when you're not. So here's the key. You don't need to do more. You need to focus on what matters most. Are you jumping from one person to the other, trying to help them like a surgeon in an operating trauma room, just trying to save people's lives? Look, you need to take time to save your life because you're no good dead, and people need you, and they're waiting on you. But you've got to be able to prioritize what you need to do and what you need not to do. So God offers peace, not pressure. He doesn't pressure. He just offers peace to us. So Isaiah 26:3, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, not just peace, but perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. So here's the question. Do you trust God that he's going to keep you in perfect peace? Let's read this backwards like I did on Sunday morning. I don't trust him, being God, and my mind is not staying on him, and that is why I'm not in peace. Yes, exactly. God didn't promise life without problems. We're going to have issues. We're going to have things that we have to deal with. We're going to get phone calls we don't like. He promised peace in the middle of them. You're going to go through storms in life. You're going to go through valleys. Learn what you need to do, learn in the valley, and get out. When I drive a lot, and there's been many rainstorms that I've been in, and I try to always keep going through the rainstorm. If I can see, and I may be going 10 miles an hour, I still keep going. I don't stop in the midst of the storm. I keep going. Peace is not found in controlling everything. It's found in trusting in the one who can, if you will give him control over your life. So Psalm 46:1 says, God is my refuge and my strength, a very present help in time of trouble. Not a distant help, not a delayed help, but present help. And you know what present help is? Right now help. It's like, I've got to have help right now. So this week, here's your challenge. Instead of trying to fix everything and everybody, give one thing to God, not everything at once, just one thing. Just like Sean Connery said in The Hunt for Red October, just one ping. Just give one thing. And you may think, wow, that just lifted a ton of bricks off of you. Stop carrying the grocery bags around. Get some help. God loves you and he cares about you, and he wants you to be effective with people, and it's hard to do it when we're overwhelmed. So you're listening to The Pulse WV Live. My name is John Fowler. Check out johnfowler.org. There's a newsletter that you can download. There are also some classes that you can take that are free of charge, and I want to encourage you to check out the website. If you play pickleball, there's a pickleball page, johnfowler.org/pickleball, and there is a pickleball tip that you can watch from Eric SQ, Eric with a K, and we travel around and go to different places, and so there's some pickleball tips as well as you can also order your book if you play pickleball, and it's a 52-week study called Pickled in the Word, and I know that you will enjoy it. You order it, we'll mail it out to you, and it's going to be awesome. You'll love it. So if you're not where you need to be today, here's what you need to do. Just say, Father, I need help. I am so overwhelmed. I'm so tired. I just can't seem to deal with things. And Lord, I ask you to come into my heart. I ask you to forgive me of my sins. That could be the reason why you're feeling overwhelmed, is you have so much pressure of sin on you. Give that sin to God. Say, forgive me of everything that I've done. You don't have to name it. He knows it. Just ask him to forgive me. And then as you ask him to forgive you, begin to walk with him. Begin to run things by him. Hey, do you think this is okay? What should I do? You say, well, that's a kook. Why would you do that? Because we have to live a spirit-led life. He has a destiny for you. Stop trying to fulfill your own destiny and fulfill his destiny for your life. You do those things. Let me know that you've accepted Jesus, or this sermon has helped you, or this podcast has helped you. And if you need a Bible, we'll send you one free of charge, courtesy of the Pulse WV Live. Hey, thank you for listening and watching. Check out johnfowler.org. It's on the screen. And download those classes and begin to learn what God wants for your life. So you say, help, I'm not okay. Hey, reach out to us. We'll be glad to help you in any way. Have a great day. Thanks for listening and watching the Pulse WV Live, a network that beats to the heart of God.